Welcome back to Work on a Superyacht, and this week we're talking tax. A bit of a boring subject, I know, but what about tax-free salary? Now I've got you interested. Unfortunately, the tax information contained in this video is only relevant to UK residents, but even if you're not a UK resident, I encourage you to watch on because maybe it'll act as a bit of a springboard to help you find out what the tax rules are in your country of residence. As always with these financial videos, remember that I am not a financial advisor and you should seek professional advice before deciding what to do with your money. Now there's a common misconception amongst UK crew that as long as you spend at least 183 days outside of the UK in any given year, your salary's tax-free, thanks very much. And while that may be true to an extent, it doesn't just happen. There's a few things that you need to do to ensure that you're all above board and you do in fact qualify for this tax-free salary. What we are really interested in is something called the Seafarers Earnings Deduction, and you can find out all about it at the link in the description below. But in order to get it, you must first submit a tax return. For those of you who've been self-employed, this is going to be something that you've done before, but for those of you who've had a more regular job, you'll be used to the government just taking tax before your salary even arrives in your bank account. On a yacht, it's a little bit different. If you're going to be paid €2,500 per month, that is what you'll receive. And so you may be thinking, well, that's it. No tax was taken, and I'm not due to pay any tax, so I'm done. Nothing more to do. But that's not quite right, because the government doesn't know that you got paid at all. You're not in the system. And so if you're not in the system, but you're receiving money, how does the government know where that came from and whether or not you are indeed due to pay tax? So that is why you have to fill out the tax return. You declare all of the money that you're earning, but then the Seafarers Earnings Deduction gets applied, and at the bottom of the tax return, you are liable for zero tax. The tax return is something you can fill out yourself if you wish, but you want to make sure that you get this right, because if it's not done right, you might not qualify for the deduction and you might have to pay tax. So I would suggest getting yourself an accountant who does it for you. That way, they know what they're doing. You make sure that the tax return is filled out properly. Happy days. You could just get your local accountant to take care of this for you, and that's what I used to do. But more recently, I've used a company called CrewFo, Crew Family Office. They're not in any way affiliated with this video, they're not sponsoring it, but I've used them for the last few years and I think they're absolutely fantastic. For me, they offer two main advantages. One is that they're much cheaper than my local accountant. Local accountant used to charge about £400 per tax return. With CrewFo, it's £220 for a yearly membership, and for that you get the tax return plus access to a whole host of other financial services that they offer. The second main advantage is that CrewFo is for yacht crew. The local accountant may not have much experience with seafarers, but CrewFo set up for yacht crew by yacht crew. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a fantastic service, fantastic value, and I highly recommend them. Whether you choose to use CrewFo or another accountant, you're going to need to provide them with some information in order that they can fill out your tax return correctly. And at the very least, they're going to want to see payslips from the yachts that you've been working on. So make sure that you get hold of them and make sure that you keep them. You'll scan them in and send them off, and that way they know exactly what you've been paid and the dates that you were paid that money. They may also want to see some other documents, so let's just head over to that link I gave you for Seafarers Earnings Deduction, and in there you'll find a heading, Records You'll Need to Keep. Top of the list is a completed HS205 working sheet. Now you can download your own working sheet and you can also find instructions on how to complete it. It's very simple and it basically just tracks your days in and out of the UK to make sure that you are eligible for the deduction. Moving on down the list, and we've got air tickets or other travel vouchers, hotel bills or other receipts, passports and visas, seafarer's discharge book, and freeboard logs of the ships you carried out duties on. Now I've done a video before about making sure you get your discharge book and sea service testimonials filled out properly, and this is just another reason to do it. All of this information, this is your evidence to prove that you were in fact working on a ship, you were outside of the UK for the required number of days, and you are eligible for the deduction. You won't have to send it off with your tax return, but if HMRC decide to investigate you years down the line, you'll have all of this stuff to hand and you can just hand it over, no problems at all. And that's it. Simple. Get yourself an accountant and make sure all of your documentation is in order, neatly filed away, so that when it's needed, you can present it. But I must point out that this only covers us for tax. National insurance, on the other hand, that's a different story. And for that, you need to fill out a questionnaire. HMRC will then decide if you need to pay it. If you don't need to pay it, remember that failure to make voluntary contributions could affect things such as your entitlement to a state pension. We are really lucky in the UK to have this Seafarers Earnings Deduction. Other nationalities are not so fortunate. So please make sure that you follow these simple steps and make the most of the opportunity. For more videos about how I manage my finances, please do check out the rest of the playlist. With respect to this video, if you found some value in it, a like would be fantastic. A sub would be amazing. And I very much look forward to seeing you next time.